Welcome to Lighting for Profits.
All light, all light, all light.
Powered by Emery Allen.
Get rid of your excuses.
Your #1 source for all things landscape lighting.
That's where the magic can happen. You can really scale a business.
We really had to show up for each other.
From lighting design, install, sales, and marketing.
You're a scaredy cat salesman, Kurt.
We discuss everything you need to know to start and grow a successful landscape lighting business.
What do you think a hippo has to do with your business, Ryan?
Usually it's some weird childhood thing. Some bully kicked your butt.
I think the key factor here is trust.
Here is your host, Ryan Lee.
All light, all light, all light. Welcome, 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 you guys. Welcome to the #1 landscape lighting show in New York. New York, I don't know, it's not New York City. It's just the state of New York right now. But we've got an awesome show lined up, guys. I'm really excited. If you're looking to start or grow a landscape lighting business, you're definitely in the right place. We are here to educate and motivate to help you dominate. And we got an awesome show coming up. We got Mr. Chris Waugh, the founder, the owner, the man of New York Landscape Lighting. And I'm really excited to have him on. I've got to know him well over the last few years. And it's cool because he was actually a founding member of Landscape Lighting Secrets. And I'm sure he had no idea what he was getting into. I think he must be a gambling man because he joined and it had no idea if it was going to work or not. But it's pretty exciting because now when we go around different events and stuff like that, we get to see each other in person. And it's really awesome. So he's got a really cool story. I hope you'll stick around. And we're changing the format because normally I start the show and I'm like, oh, let me get the talking out of the way. I always have something on my mind. And I kind of start with like a little monologue, right? But we're going to change the format and get right into our guest really quickly. So stick around. We're going to change the format. And then after our guest, I'm going to kind of decompress and talk about the show a little bit and talk about something that's on my mind. So, but before we have Chris on, I will not get mad at you if you give me a 5-star review. I got to ask for a review, guys. I love getting them. I remember having my landscape lighting business and seeing that 5-star review come across on Google My Business or any of the platforms felt really, really good, right? And so do a good turn daily. Go give me a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. I'd really, really appreciate it. By the way, guys, Landscape Lighting Live San Diego coming up. It's part of Clipicon. So we're kind of joining forces with them, and it's going to be an epic week of landscape lighting and holiday lighting all together. So get your tickets now, landscapelightinglive.com. I promise you guys, it's going to sell out. People are going to be reaching out after saying, come on, can you just get one more ticket for me? And there's nothing I can do once they've sold out, they've sold out. So get your ticket now. You might think, oh, I got time, I'll do it later. And that's what happened to people at the last one. And they were not in that room. So it's a really, really cool event. If you're looking to start or grow your lighting business, make sure you're in that room. All right, what sets Emery Allen apart? Well, bulbs aside, they believe customer satisfaction should be the top priority, always. Emery Allen goes out of their way to ensure lighting professionals have access to the best light sources built with the highest quality components suited specifically for the landscape lighting industry. At the end of the day, it's what's on the inside that counts. Take advantage of Emery Allen's world-class customer service and 10% off your first order for new clients. All you need to do is email Tom G at emeryallen.com and he'll get you set up with your account and mention that you heard about him here on Lighting for Profits. Mention my name, mention Ryan Lee, do whatever you got to do. Get hooked up with the discounted contractor pricing. And again, all you need to do is email Tom G at emeryallen.com and he'll hook you up. By the way, Emery Allen is awesome. Tom has been supporting us. He comes to the Landscape Lighting Lives as well. And he can answer all those nerdy questions that you've got, the technical questions. I cannot. Okay. I love talking pricing, sales, marketing, business, scaling, culture, all the stuff. And Tom likes geeking out on the technical stuff. So if you have questions, reach out to him, Tom G at emeryallen.com, because he's a great resource for the lighting community. And he's done quite a bit to help grow our industry. So really thankful for Tom and for the entire Emery Allen team. All right, guys, I think it's time. Let me know if you're ready for our guest. We're jumping right into it. We're changing the format. And then after our guest, like I said, I'm going to spend 10, 15 minutes, however long, and kind of decompress the show and talk about some things that are on my mind. But now's the time. Let me know if you guys are ready. Yeah, welcome to the show, Mr. Chris Waugh.
Hey, Ryan. Good to be here.
Thanks for being here, man. I'm really excited to have you on. I got those sirens going in the background.
Nice.
So we've had you on before when we're talking Christmas lights on a group show and stuff like that. But this is your first time coming on solo, and I'm thankful. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to be here, man.
No, I'm glad to be here. Hope I can offer something to you.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. We're really excited to have you on. Been trying to get you on for a while, and you keep turning me down.
Yeah, a little nervous, but I'll be all right. You've had some good guests on here recently, so I got a lot to live up to. That's
all right. That microphone, if you tap on the desk, it does create a bit of a sound problem.
Sorry.
Okay. Well, first of all, it's really cool because what I've seen in the last few years that I've known you, you've really built an awesome life, for your family. And I just think it's super inspiring. So I kind of want to get into that story a little bit about how you got started and, what you were doing and stuff like that. I know you told me kind of a basic story, but you got your start as a fireman. Is that right?
I did. I was a fireman in the city, New York, for about 10 years. And then I had to leave after I got hurt. And then I was working in the hospital. I was a radiation therapist, which I had done before, and I'd always done it part-time. Just wasn't crazy about working in the hospital. It was a good job, great job. I just didn't want to be in the hospital too much. That's what my wife does. That's how we met years ago. So I wanted to find another career, and I was looking at franchises, any franchise, any business really, just to get ideas. That's how I found outdoor lighting. I didn't go with a franchise, but I had done some research and I was getting close to one. I don't know if it's around anymore. I think it was out of the Carolinas. They had a few locations at the time. That's how I learned a little bit about it. And then I thought, I don't want to do a franchise. I want to do it on my own. Would have been nice. Franchising would have been good just to get that learning curve out of the way. But, it worked out well. I started outdoor lighting, learning through some vendors. And I didn't meet you guys till, only about 3-4 years ago. So something like this would have been great earlier on. But that's, it is the advantage of a franchise, but I'm kind of glad I didn't do it. I didn't want to get locked into anything. And I wanted to, do it my own way.
I know. It's kind of like I meet people that are part of franchises and they're always like extremely grateful for that startup because they ramp them up quick. They force them to do things they wouldn't do on their own, like invest in marketing and advertising, and it works. So then they grow. But then after a while, they're kind of like, man, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to keep sending that check in. So I don't know. I don't know that there is one right way. That's why the world keeps working. Everyone kind of does their own way. So
you just learn as you go.
So when you got into it, you did decide though, you're like, hey, I'm not going to do the franchise, but I'm going to start an outdoor lighting business.
Yeah, that's the lighting is one thing that really perked my interest. I used to, when I was a kid, I did a lot of Christmas lighting at my parents' house, and I, enjoyed that part of lighting. And the lighting, from the research, it was interesting, and I really liked it. And it looked like it wasn't expensive to get into the business. Didn't have a lot needed right away, which is good. And that's how I got started. And I worked with a guy from, he was Cast Lighting at the time. And he came to the first couple of jobs with us. And actually one of the first jobs was it was a good job. It was a 50 fixture job right away.
Nice.
So that was in 2005. So it worked out good. And, it was a little struggling in the first few years, to get enough client base and to get the repetitive business. And then Christmas lighting, we started the second year.
Okay. So started with landscape lighting. Then did you have people asking you about if you do Christmas lights and then got into that?
Well, my mother takes the credit for it.
Okay.
She was an office manager for a orthodontist office, about 4 offices up in Orange County. So we're in Westchester. We're about 30 miles north of New York City, and they're about 70 miles north now. That's where I grew up.
Okay.
So her office manager, her boss's wife mentioned to her that she had a place, I think, in Florida, and his Christmas lighting, people doing Christmas lighting, they paid us to have somebody do it. So that's how I found out about it. It was in one of the magazines around the same time, one of the landscape magazines, and I started doing it. And then I hooked up with one of my current vendors out of Omaha, and they really helped a lot. Holodynamics at the time, they were still with HBL, and Scott's been really great. They got me really going in the Christmas lighting game.
That's very cool. You mentioned a couple of things, both Holodynamics and with Cast getting started. I think a lot of people when they're starting, they're asking all these questions, and they're online now. They're in the groups asking questions, but like there's so many awesome resources. These manufacturers, these suppliers, of course they want to help you out, because if they can help you sell more deals, get more education on stuff, then obviously it's going to benefit them down the road. So
exactly, the better their product looks, after it's installed, the better for them as well. So they're definitely going to give you any kind of help they can. And I went down to Maryland with Cass for the first training. Then I came back, and then his name was Jeff. He came up here and helped us out in this.
Was it Jeff Hesser?
No, it's Jeff. He actually passed away.
Oh shoot.
I forget his last name off the top of my head. I know Bruce from Garden Light was good friends with him, and he told me the whole story what happened to him. Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
they're a good product too.
Yeah, I think it's cool that you did that, because there's not a lot of people that just start a lighting business. And that's like, I was like thinking, how did I get started? Well, it was my brother that got started with holiday lighting, and then someone's like, yeah, you'd be a good landscape lighting guy. And I just wanted something new, maybe one day, like maybe your son, maybe somebody's son is going to grow up and want to be a landscape lighting designer.
My son loves it. I mean, that's one of my goals I've written down from our program. When we were down in Florida, like, what do we want out of the business and for life? And he loves it. He loves, like, every day he's off, he's like, can I go to work with you? Like, even on weekends, or if he has a school day off. So that's one of my plans. Yeah. And it worked out good so far. Like I said, it was a few years to really get going. I think probably around 2008 we really got it going well. The year I got married, so I had no other choice than to get it going. So
got it. How was starting your business different than you expected it to be?
I really didn't expect it to be easy. I just knew I hadn't, no other choice. I mean, I could have went back to the hospital, that I really didn't want to. So I think when your back's up against the wall, you have no choice but to, make it work. I think making the connections, I'm still working on, like referral partners, that kind of stuff. And, as much as we advertise and really getting your name out there, I think it's getting the leads in is probably the most challenging. Like, I know we have 350 5-star reviews, but it's still like getting the new leads, every year, every spring is, what we're, that's our main issue really. So we're working on new mailers now, and challenging wise early on, I would say, having enough money to pay the bills. And, we started with just one or two, helpers the first couple of years until we really got going. The Christmas lighting really helped us, form a plan on how to do everything, because it was a lot more, it was busier, quicker. So we were able to bring on more employees, and then we transferred that over to the landscape lighting end. Even though we started landscape lighting first, the holiday lighting was a little bit of an easier sell.
Yeah, I've found that, like, because we have a lot of people coming now into the landscape lighting industry from the holiday lighting, and they're used to, like, how it is, like the leads go crazy. It's easy to get a lead for holiday lighting. It's harder to get a lead for landscape lighting. So sometimes they have this false confidence of like, oh man, I know how to do life. I know how to do business. And then they jump into landscape lighting, and it's like, where's all the leads? Doesn't my phone just ring endlessly off the hook? And that's not quite how it is all the time.
I can see that being an issue if I started with the holiday lighting, because I would expect that same type of phone traffic to come in May and April and June, and it doesn't. You have to go out and create the leads for a lot of the time.
So was there a point in time after you started where you started to think, all right, maybe it's a little harder than I thought? Should I go back to the hospital? Should I go do something else?
No, I don't think so. Maybe after a year or two, I had family helping, and then once I brought on some helpers to really do a lot of the labor, because I had a back issue, and that was kind of really a problem, more so than like finances or anything like that. So that it worked out well now that we're have enough people on staff.
At some point, didn't you get into like irrigation or pest control or something like that as well?
Yeah, a few things actually. One of my first lead employees, Manuel, he used to do irrigation, and he said, why don't we do some irrigation work? I didn't know anything about irrigation. I said, we could try it. Did a little service, did some installs. And they kind of did, the service calls, the startups, the winterizing. In New York, we have to winterize for the winter. It worked good. It just, last year we stopped doing it because it took away from my lighting, I believe, and I wasn't a big fan of it. So if you don't like something you're not going to sell it as well. You're not going to be as into it. So I got rid of that last fall, because the main issue is winterizing. We're already doing our holiday lighting installs, and I can't spare enough people for that. And I wanted to concentrate really on lighting. And then for a little while, I did pet fencing, underground pet fencing, which a lot of lighting companies were doing. Again, the money wasn't great in that. There was some pet fencing only franchises nearby, and they had different pricing, so they were more competitive. So we really just want to stick with the lighting now. And then we started outdoor audio a couple of years ago, which I do like. And that's one of my goals this year, is to do more audio. And then we're looking into the permanent lighting right now, the permanent roofline lighting, which I'm not a big fan of, but we're going to offer it. It's not big around here yet, but when it comes, I want to be ready for it.
Yeah, it's an interesting discussion, because you hear people say multiple streams of income, diversify, those types of things. And so it doesn't surprise me that you tried, pet fencing and these other things. In my business, we did misting systems. In Texas, it gets hot. People want to cool themselves. And it's like, hey, our guys are technical. We're already trenching. Like, it's not that hard. And my company's still doing that. But there are certain things that I think make sense to add on and have, like, hey, if I could just add this service on and market to my existing clients, it's kind of a no-brainer. But then there are certain things like irrigation or whatever, where it's like, I don't know, it just takes you out of it, takes you into a different lane. And outdoor audio is interesting because it's not lighting, right? But the thing why I like it is it matches with the client profile. It's still a very high-end product. It's what you'd consider like a luxury item. It's different than what others are doing and things like that. So, yeah, I think if people are listening to this or watching this, it's like, it's okay to try new stuff. You did,
Right.
and then you realize, what? No, it's distracting. It's not really even profitable for us. So as long as you're measuring it and seeing if it's working or not, and then go, well, let's just focus on this. I think what you've done is great.
Right. And outdoor audio is, very much the same skill set for our installers. And I do enjoy the outdoor audio. We had done mosquito and tick spraying for a couple of years. I had some friends that were doing that and got into it. I think the key is you really need somebody running each division. Otherwise, you're spread too thin, and it takes away from your main business, which is lighting. So that's why I cut all that out, except for the audio, because that is basically the same, like you said, the same client, same skill set for the installer. So it's not really distracting you from the lighting. And in fact, you can do it a lot of times at the same time.
Exactly. And one fear I have that I see people doing is, like, they'll get a call for, let's say, landscape lighting. And sometimes it can work where you're like, hey, did you know we also did outdoor audio and permanent? And sometimes you could sell this whole package, but sometimes it actually destroys the sell. It's like, let's just give people what they're asking for, and then come back in a day later, a week later, a month later, and be like, hey, did you know we also offer this? And now it's a separate purchase. It's a separate transaction. You didn't overwhelm their wallet, their thinking. And that's a challenge I think a lot of people face when they start adding these different business units.
Exactly. Yeah. We're working on something now for the audio that, like you said, either not include it later or on the original estimate. I'm not sure how we're going to do that yet, but I definitely want to push the audio more, because it's a great product, really, and it's nice to install, and it's good profit.
So how much of your business now is holiday lighting versus landscape lighting?
I would say maybe 60% holiday, 40% landscape lighting. Really, the audio is brand new, so that might be a couple percent right now. I'm hoping to grow that to like 10-20% this year.
Well, and what's crazy, it's 60-40 holiday versus landscape lighting, but your numbers are amazing. Like for both of them, each of those businesses is, in a lot of cases, double, triple, quadruple of like what others are doing just with one of those. And so I don't know, that's just what's so impressive to me about you, is like, when I first met you, and even now, I'm like, Chris Waugh, he's just like this normal guy, like normal friend of mine. It doesn't come across as a superhero, but then you're actually this superhero in disguise. You're like doing amazing things for your business, challenging yourself, taking risks that most aren't willing to do, doing things that you don't want to do. I mean, all the time you're talking to me about, like, oh man, I don't want to do this, and then the next week you're doing it. It's pretty impressive, man.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm enjoying it now, especially, and looking forward to the future. We're working on like the back office stuff now. We just hired an office manager. So looking forward to growing the business. When I left the hospital, I didn't want to work inside in an office or in a hospital. And now that we're growing, I find I'm in the office more. But so it's a good problem to have, I guess.
So how do you handle that? Because I heard you say that before. You're like, you were like, I kind of want to be out in the field. Now I'm in the office. You got me working on my business. This stuff, it's not as exciting.
I enjoy it now, with the back issue. I had 2 neck surgeries, so it's, I don't mind. Once in a while when I'm bored, I'll go out and check on things, or I still do some of the lighting proposals. Like Shane, our sales manager, does most of them, but I'll do some here and there when we're busy. And I don't mind it once in a while, but I do want to try and really get all the systems and the back end stuff in play now.
Cool. And it's awesome because now you have other people doing other things. You'll actually have time to do it. It's, how it is when you're getting started. It's actually impossible. Like, unless you got a rich uncle that's just floating the company, you are the salesperson, you are the installer, you are the office manager, you are all the things. And building systems, working on your business does not happen.
Dan Raker, he gave me an assignment last year when I was hiring either for office manager or operations manager, which I'll hopefully do this year as well. He gave me a list to write down all the things that you're doing day to day, driving the car, doing this, doing that. And it's amazing like how many things you're really doing that you shouldn't be doing. And once you delegate that, you can really be a visionary. That's what I want to get to and create a better system for everybody and make everybody's life better.
That's awesome. Well, to me, it blows my mind that you're just right now hiring your first office manager, and you're doing the volume you're doing.
Go backwards.
I'm like, that's why it's like it's kind of a miracle that you're doing as well as you've done with as little as you've allowed.
Well, I didn't totally not have an office. I have a remote office, so they handle all the call screening, they handle the pre-sale calls and the videos we send out. So it's not like I'm doing that stuff. I very rarely answer the phone, but I did didn't mind doing certain things. But now I want to be. Now I see with that list, I really see what I'm missing out on.
Nice. Well, a lot of people, when getting started, they just answer their own phone. And I think even though you haven't had an office manager, like you said, you had an answering service, you had support, which did allow you to free up some of that time.
Oh, definitely, especially during the holiday lighting. I mean, I used to be out in the field, and my cell phone, when I had the phone forwarded to my cell phone, couldn't even stand there and talk to a client because the phone was ringing like crazy. So now they handle most of that, and it takes a lot of the stress out of the holiday lighting season, and even the spring when we're busy with the landscape lighting. So we have to, we're going to work at getting more landscape lighting because we kind of cannibalize our landscape lighting business when we start Christmas in August and September. So like we talked about, we're going to try and push that, or have somebody really running the holiday lighting so they can concentrate on more landscape lighting sales, or take Shane out of the holiday lighting field of managing the crews, and he can do more sales in the fall. So we can really, because holiday lighting, we're kind of capped at what we're going to do now, I think.
So let's talk about that for a minute. So basically what you're saying is because there's so much demand for holiday lighting, it used to be, it's just November. Now it's October. Now it's like going into September type thing. Now you're like, well, wait a minute. That means we have to put landscape lighting. We have to stop landscape lighting, which is highly profitable, highly busy, just to do our holiday. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Because we start in September, and by August, I kind of stopped my my landscape lighting push for advertising and mailers, because I know the Christmas season's coming, and I already know we have this much stuff to get done in 3 or 4, 2, 3, 4 months. I can't. I'll take some landscape lighting estimates, but they're going to have to wait till January.
Yeah.
Install. So my year-round guys are great at holiday lighting, so I don't want to take them away. But I think this year we are going to try and keep them doing landscape lighting, at least one crew, and then we can do more regular outdoor lighting, because I think that's what holds us up. Because I stop advertising, my mind is worried about hiring 18 temporary installers for Christmas, and it's really taken away from our landscape lighting in the late part of the year.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting. By the way, I can still hear that drummer boy in the corner of your office.
Oh, sorry. I get nervous.
But it's kind of interesting because, when people come in, like let's say they're an existing holiday lighting company doing $400,000 a year, right? And they want to start landscape lighting. They want to start landscape lighting to solve the problem of labor, because they want to keep their guys busy. And they don't even care if they make any money with landscape lighting. They just want to keep their crew busy so they don't have to do the rehire and all this. But now you're at like the next level, like several steps ahead, almost running into the same issue. And it's managing like how many crews you want to keep busy for this company versus this company. It's interesting to see that as we grow our business, there's different levels, and it's like the problems never go away. It's just new challenges arise.
Right, exactly. And like when Shane came on, he originally started managing the holiday lighting crews about 3-4 years ago, and then he wanted to do lighting sales, and we needed a landscape lighting salesperson, and he kind of does both. So we're going to stop that because he can go out and focus just on the landscape lighting then in August, September, October, and I think that'll really up our numbers for landscape lighting, and then it's less stress on him managing the holiday lighting crews, and we'll have somebody else doing that hopefully this year. We did some big commercial projects, and this year was our biggest year, and it went very smooth for the most part. Even the takedowns, we have one more. I think we're doing today and tomorrow. People that wanted to stay up a little longer, so we're pretty much done with the holiday lighting. Everything's packed away. So now we're really focused on the business end. February is going to be pretty slow as far as new leads, like it always is here, and then we'll get ready to go mid-March.
Yeah, congrats on an amazing year. I mean, your landscape lighting and your holiday lighting, it was a great year for you. And it's impressive for so many different reasons. I've never sold that much holiday lighting. And I always tell myself I could, because the leads and my sales ability, but I've never done it, for one. And then number two, I think even the most impressive part is, how do you get all that done? Like, that's a feat, as you know. And to hear you say it's actually not as bad, it was actually pretty smooth, probably smoother than it was 5 years ago when you were doing much less volume. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it went well this year. We had, besides myself and Shane, we had a warehouse manager. She came in when we moved into our new warehouse in August. She was working in TV. She ran a studio, a warehouse for like Netflix, Showtime, and she was laid off because of the writer's strike. So she came for a few months. It was great. She ended up kind of managing some of the crews as well. And we hired another fellow who was managing one of the crews. So it just made life a lot easier for everybody, I believe. And then once we got onto a couple of big commercial projects we do, they had some experience, or he had some experience in that realm. So it made things a lot easier. And we were able to manage, some of the newer guys a little better.
Yeah, very cool. Well, you mentioned bringing Shane on board a few years ago. A lot of people are afraid to hire just in general, and especially a sales position, because the sales is, if you don't have revenue, it's hard to have profit, and it's hard to have a company. Giving up that, I want to talk a little bit about that, especially in landscape lighting. It's not just the sell, it's the design. Like, how do I teach them this? How difficult was that to bring him on board? And
it went really well. I've heard some people have issues, with salespeople. They go through a couple before they find the right one. I was lucky, and Shane was great. I guess about 4 years now. He came from a Wall Street background. He wanted to change, kind of like I did years ago. And he shadowed me for about 2 months as far as the sales end, going to estimates, consultations, and then we worked on the design. We went through your original Landscape Lighting Secrets program on the computer. He followed all that. We watched some videos. He's been to a couple seminars with us for holiday lighting. And he's met a lot of people when he's got to know the industry that way. And his design is, we're always evolving. We're both, I'm evolving, you're evolving with design. We all are. And he's great at it. He does like 80%, 85% of the designs now. I'm happy. We grew up together. We went to high school together. So we've known each other for years, which I think helped too. And it's been great so far.
Yeah. I just think it's awesome to share it, because so many people are afraid to do things, and they're afraid of something that they don't even know that they're afraid of. Like, I'm afraid that they're not going to learn design. Like, well, why? Like,
Shane's more of a people person than I am. Like, he got the gift of gab. He can talk to people, not as a salesman, just as a person, and I think that really helps when you talk about other stuff. What do they like? How their kids and their sports. And I think that helps with any kind of sales business. He's really good at that. One time I called him up. It was like he was at an estimate for an hour and a half. He's like, "Hey, I'm holding their baby. We're walking around the backyard." So that stuff is really good. That's how you make relationships. So.
That's awesome. Where are you at? I need you over here. I'm babysitting. That's hilarious. Yeah. Shane's an awesome dude, and I think it's cool how he's added to your company. But this is what I love about small business is like what we're doing. We are literally the backbone of America. Think about the impact that you've had and you're going to have on your family, your family's legacy, your team members and their families, the suppliers you mentioned, the manufacturers. Like this one company, this tiny little dot on the map of the globe is having a huge ripple effect. And it's I don't know, it's inspiring to me to see what you're doing. I'm going to keep building you up because I love what you're doing, man.
Appreciate it. I was listening to Tommy Mello's podcast he did from Tuesday, he's a tough act to follow. He's great.
Yeah.
And he always says, the goal is to improve the lives of your team members as well. And I'm really starting to, take heed of that now, with the office manager we're hiring. She wants benefits. So she'll be the first one we bring on that has health benefits. Like Shane's had them through his wife. I've always had them through my wife. And now my wife stopped working. So I'm going to get them for our family as well. And then I could be able to offer that to all my employees, installers, office. I think that'll help with their lives as well. That's one of our goals, right? Is to make everybody better.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, I look back at when I was running my business and it was like, I was so focused on sales and marketing and all the stuff that I really loved that I'm like, man, I forgot about my team. And it's not that there's people that are still with that company. So it's not like we did a bad job, but I'm like, man, if I would have focused on this and this, and it could have been so much better, and we probably would have kept people that we didn't lose and things like that.
That's how I feel now when you're out in the field, putting out fires and troubleshooting everything, and you're getting calls from your employees and truck breaks down or this or that. You can't do that stuff. Now you can take care of people if you have the time to, envision it and everything. And that's what I hope to do. And like I said, my son if he wants, he's 13 now and he loves coming to work. If he wants to do it in, 7-8 years, I still want him to go and get some kind of business background in school. And that's my dream, is that he takes over and just funnels me money down to Florida somewhere, fishing, getting those hammerhead sharks like we did a couple weeks ago.
Oh my gosh. My favorite line of life right now is I caught a hammerhead shark.
That was a good fishing trip.
Tell us what happened there. We're out on this boat on 4 miles off the coast of West Palm Beach, Jupiter, wherever we were. And what were we fishing for?
We were bottom fishing, grouper, snapper, bonita. I think we had a bunch of king mackerel. Everybody caught. We had caught a lot. That was fishing trips can be hit or miss. And sometimes you go out and you don't catch anything. And this charter, they did a great job. And then I was reeling in a bonita, small one. And we saw the shark coming, and it was over 8 feet, 8-10 feet.
It was cool just to see it in the water. I was like, wow, it's like right underneath the surface.
I said, does that happen a lot? He said, it does, but they don't come out of the water like that. So the hammerhead circled the bonita as I was reeling it in, and he jumped out of the water. He took it, he came out, he breached, and went back under. And I had it, he was on there for a split second. I knew he wasn't going to stop. I was kind of just joking because we didn't have wire leaders on there, so it was going to break the wire. And then when the guys asked the mate to put on a real shark rig, Chris Applestack caught a sandbar shark. Took him 40 minutes. That thing was about 6-8 feet as well. That was pretty cool.
That was crazy.
I think it took 40 minutes for him to get it in.
That whole experience blew my mind because literally, like you said, like I thought we were going to go fishing and one of us was going to catch a fish or something.
Yeah.
And within 30 seconds of dropping the line, I thought that was like a scuba diver down there, like put a fish on it and like tugged on the line or something.
And they really hit a good spot.
They did it right.
Yeah. That was great. I could have done without the cold water plunge at 7 a.m. the day before, but
we'll talk about that in a minute. The fishing was amazing. I couldn't believe the timing of this hammerhead circling the boat. And then right when you pull out the bonita out of the water, it just jumps up out of the water.
The Captain said he's never really seen it like that before. It was pretty wild. There was some good video of it too.
That was epic.
Yeah.
And then Chris reeling in the shark. Basically, we're like, man, how do we catch a shark? Is that possible? And they're like, yeah, you want to catch a shark? Chris is like, let's go catch a shark. And same thing within like a minute. Yeah. That thing was on the line and it was running. So
he cut a whole head of one of the other bonitas. And I think it was maybe 5-10 seconds. I was standing right there, and he threw it in, and then Chris grabbed the line, grabbed the rod, and that was pretty cool.
And he did it the hard way. There's video evidence that he's probably not going to be able to ever have kids. because he did it the hard way.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was such a good experience. Maybe let's talk about Legends for a minute.
Sure.
Well, actually, so before that, this summer is going to be our 4-year anniversary for Landscape Lighting Secrets, and subsequently from when I met you. And you were one of the 4 founding members of Landscape Lighting Secrets. I don't know if you remember that, but were you? For me, it's just like I've got confidence. Sometimes it's false confidence, but were you? Was that just a huge gamble? Like, what were you thinking joining this?
No, you kept messaging me and texting me and calling me. Let me just shut him up. I'll pay it, whatever it was. Get it over with.
That's actually a good. Yeah, it's a good method. If someone annoys you enough.
Kind of the same thing last year with the Legends. I just got to stop these phone calls and pay them off.
Right, so it paid me off to shut me up. And then every year I just annoy you, like, come on, man, please, please, please.
Seriously, though, like with the first 4 years ago, I was like, what do I have to lose? It wasn't a lot of money, the original group. And it's almost like, hey, I thought of it like, hey, I'm joining a more advanced franchise now. I'll meet some good people and we'll learn things. That was my main thinking. I said, it's like in any advertisement, you spend 10 grand on a mailer. It's a risk if it's going to work that month. Yeah. We're sending one out now. It's going to be about $15,000 for the, for each round. We're doing that, we're doing that big 8-page mailer. So it's just a gamble, and it's like any other form of investment in your business. It may pay off. Most of them pay off. So I'm very happy with the whole program. I met some great people so far.
What was your favorite part over the last 4 years? You mentioned some of the people, some of the content. Like, what has been your favorite part?
I definitely like the original videos you had given us. I learned how to do like pre-sale marketing to the new client that we're going to meet, which I think really helps. 3 or 4 days before you get there, you're giving them. We send our PDF of our current catalog, and we also send those 2-3 videos before, so they can see us, they see our work, and they have an idea on the install process. What are we doing to the lawn or the flower beds? And then another video is the pricing, and then as far as what type of fixtures and what plans we're offering. So they know ahead of time when we get there that, what we're all about, which I think really helps. And actually, I plan to this year redo the videos to do a little more professional quality video. Now that I've seen like Mike Long and Greg do theirs, I need to up that a little bit to make it a little bit nicer.
Nice.
And then again, meeting all the people at the groups, all the meets. Like we first came out to you, and then I think the Nashville was great. Nashville had a great time, and then Florida was great. So meeting people, I find you get a lot. I talking to you, and then your curriculum, but also just sitting with somebody in a cab or waiting to eat dinner. I think you get to know people, and you make relationships that are lasting. Like I still know people from 15 years ago. I was in the holiday lighting conventions and stuff. I'm going away at the end of the week. The end of the month with a couple of people.
Nice.
So, yeah.
No, I think it's awesome. Especially this last one that we did in at Greg's place in West Palm, just seeing the group kind of come together, and you specifically were like asking questions and doing things, and you were complaining about the cold plunge. We did the cold plunge. Which, how cold was that?
That wasn't bad at all. It was cold. It was colder on standing on the sand than it was in the water.
I know. So it was the semi lukewarm plunge into the ocean at 7 a.m. And the theme of that week was kind of like, getting uncomfortable or being comfortable. What is it? Get comfortable.
That's been the one thing I took from that weekend 2 weeks ago the most. And as I explained what happened, with stuff, and I actually reached out to that general manager the other day from the hockey team, from the Rangers.
I saw that.
So we'll see what happens with that. I haven't heard anything back, but I wouldn't have done that a year ago. I just don't like getting personal with clients and stuff. But like you said, you got to be uncomfortable to make things better. And to get to the next level, it might be a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. And it's cool because I see you doing it. And it's like, you've got some big ambitions, some big goals. What did you take away? Like, what is your next move? What are some of these things that you want to do over the next little bit?
I actually wrote it down. I was getting uncomfortable, focusing on the back end of the business. Like once I hired this office manager, and I really think I made a good hire this time. Like I know we talked about in October, I was hiring somebody, or November. I had a bad feeling, so I didn't go through with it. This lady, I think, is really, she doesn't come from a service industry, really. She ran a restaurant and a pizza place, but the way she talked, and I think she has a drive to want to do stuff for her business, to even grow for herself. And that's, she kind of grew this restaurant from the ground up. And I had some other ladies come in that had more service business experience and property management, but they didn't seem very, like they didn't have their own vision of what they want to do. So, we're gonna work. I gotta send out some papers to her. I gotta give her 2 weeks for her current employment.
Nice.
I'm excited for that. And then, like I said, my thing is I don't know if I want to sell the business down the line or maybe just have it running on its own, or with my son or my daughter, whoever, and then have like residual income that way. And keep it going. They may want to run it, they may not want to. But if I can get people in place and have it running, a little bit of effort here and there, I don't mind going in for a couple hours. That's the way I'd like to get it at some point. I'm 50 now, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think regardless of your situation, your status in business, how new you are, how long you've been around, like everyone's goal should be to build your business like you're going to sell it. And that doesn't mean you have to sell it. I actually think that's the perfect time not to sell it, depending on what valuation you're going to get, right? Because then, like you said, your son could be sending you checks down to Florida or whatever it is. Like you put in so much blood, sweat, and tears. You build this business, and there needs to be a goal of like, if you're not going to do that, then kind of what's the point? Like you could get a pretty decent job and be home by 5 every day. The amount that most people are paying themselves the first 5-10 years of their business is just, it's not worth it unless you're working toward this big goal of building it like you're going to sell it. Then don't sell it, and then just enjoy that mailbox money.
Yeah, I mean, I have, it might be in the cards in the future, but right now, like I keep saying, my son, but I know he loves it, and we'll see when he's really in the field, really doing everything, if he does like it. But if not, then we'll think about, But I just want to be ready to, if I get it, the processes and everybody in place, it'll be ready to sell if need be. The holiday lighting business, I have the goals from that meeting. I want to get the landscape lighting up, and I want to get the audio really going, and then maybe the permanent lighting, if that does become a thing around here, which it's not really yet, but everybody seems to say it's coming this way. So I want to be the first one to really offer it. Like we were the holiday lighting, we were one of the first around here. So that's definitely the place to be out front.
Yeah, I mean, I told you out here, it's nuts. And just in my neighborhood, there's probably 4 or 5 different manufacturers represented. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, we don't really see it here. I saw a couple Govee type installs, and they look horrible this year, but I haven't really seen anything that I know was permanent. So, like any gemstone or inception, I really haven't seen that yet around here. But we're going to start marketing it to commercial. That's what Shane wants to do, and I think that's probably the best way to go for now. Start it with commercial, strip malls, and auto dealerships.
So you're on your journey of entrepreneurship and things like that. As you reflect and look back, is there anything that you would tell your son or someone else getting started? Like, what's one thing you wish you would have done sooner or differently?
I definitely think I should have had people in place a little sooner. Besides my installers, I should have had more of a management, or maybe had that back office a little sooner. And I could have been doing more of the visionary type stuff, or the general manager type stuff. But I was too busy in the field, going out and troubleshooting things. That I would definitely do sooner. Get it more running like an existing business early on. I think that would help out everybody.
Yeah, I think so too. I wish someone would have just like shaken me and made me do stuff that you hear that, but you're like, yeah, that's fine. I'll do that later. And then like a year or 2, 5 years goes by, and you just haven't done anything different. You
get comfortable and you get set in your ways.
Yeah,
that's what happens. But now I want to be uncomfortable. Not all the time, but you got to do it to grow. And
another cold plunge coming up.
Hopefully we're in the place that, we can do that now and keep growing.
What's been what we think has been the best thing you've done for your business? Something that you've done that's really moved the needle?
You want me to say join your program? Is that what you want me to say?
Yeah, cue the record. Make sure this one's really recorded. Make sure the audio's crisp and clean. Let's do this again.
No, I mean, truthfully, your program has been great. I have like one or two installs have been with me for about 16 or 17 years, and they're great. We have our ups and downs, butting heads here and there. As you know, we've talked about it. But they were great, and he's actually been great. They're great workers. They're great people. I think just hiring that management team a little earlier, and sales I didn't mind doing, so I was always happy doing that. But yeah, I think joining the program and the holiday lighting really, that really helped us grow because it gives you more capital over the winter. And then I made relationships like my good friend Mike Kaplan. I'm going away in a couple weeks. He's a distributor now for holiday lighting and landscape lighting on Long Island. So he's been a great friend, a great help to me. He owns a much bigger landscape company. So he gives me a lot of ideas, and meeting people is I think the best thing. Relationships. And
yeah, he's okay. He's awesome. His crew's amazing. And I appreciate you saying that about secrets, but it wasn't supposed to be a tee up for that.
I think just relationships in general, meeting people. Like, yes, your program is great, but getting to spend time with you and all the guys and the girls in the Legends group now, and you really, it's like you're having your own board. You're having your own board chairman and the board members at your disposal. You bounce ideas off of, which is big. If when you're in business as an entrepreneur alone, sometimes you can talk to your spouse, but you don't have really somebody to. What am I doing right or wrong here? So if you have this kind of mentorship or this board of friends, I think it really helps you. Like right now, I'm working on this mailer, and the designer wasn't coming up with what I wanted, and right now I'm talking to Greg Matthews' cousin, who's helped me out of Colorado. He does that work, so people like that can help you out a lot quicker and get things done rather than figuring out on your own.
Nice. Well, I heard you say that. Like it's kind of like having your own, this Legends group. It's a smaller group. It's like having your own board of directors, and it's so true. Like because I'll come home and I'll throw up all this stuff to Lindsay, and she's not a business owner. She hasn't gone through what I've gone through with business, and so when you surround yourself with others that have either gone through what you've gone through or are going through it with you, I mean they actually understand 100% when you say this is what's awesome, this is what I'm struggling with, and you get those answers just so much faster. So
right.
It is cool.
We're all been around for a little while, and we all have problems. So it's good to I just hope I can give them enough help. Like I feel like I'm asking a lot of people stuff, like you said, but bouncing those ideas is really what gets you through, and it's great.
Yeah, they actually. I got a request from everyone that said, "I don't know, can we get rid of Christian?"
Yeah,
yeah.
Fine.
But I got a mortgage to pay, so we're gonna keep you in.
Yeah, no, I enjoy it.
All right, man. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up, and I'm gonna stick around. This is the first time we're doing this format. We're gonna see how it goes. We're gonna test it, and I've got some notes that I'm gonna talk about after and kind of recap this episode. But before we say goodbye to you, anything else you want to share or leave us with?
No, I'm just glad to be here. Hope I can give a little bit of value to everybody out there, and it was really enjoyable. Look forward to doing it again.
Awesome, man. Thanks again. I really appreciate it. I know you wake up every morning going, man, if I could just get on a podcast, I'd love it. So I'm glad we could help you out today.
We know that's not true. It wasn't as hard as I thought. I was a little nervous.
I know. But honestly, like I told you this, I told you this before we went live. It's like, yeah, we have some people on here that are like, natural ability and all this stuff. But like, to me, I love what you've done because you're so relatable. Like I see a lot of me in you. I see a lot of like other people that are going to relate to you, like, because you're just come across as a normal dude that's having like massive success. So thanks for getting uncomfortable and coming on the show. Appreciate it, man.
No problem. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one, man. We'll talk to you later.
See you.
All right. Oh, I forgot to play his outro music. Is it too late? It's the same as the intro music. That was awesome. I don't know what you guys thought, but if you're here live, let me know in the comments. What he has done is amazing. And, we didn't really talk numbers and stuff like that, but what he's been able to do for himself, his family, his company is really, really cool. And I wasn't kidding when I said like he's just so relatable because, you know, sometimes you meet people and you're like, well, yeah, of course it's easy for you because of this, that, or the other. And he just comes across as like this normal guy and then is having these epic results. So I need to get a soundbite of him next time saying, I caught a hammerhead. That was such an epic day. He's the first person I know that has actually caught a hammerhead. If only for just a couple seconds, he did catch a hammerhead. So really, really cool. We're changing the format of the show a little bit because normally I kind of do my monologue or whatever, but I thought, you know what, I don't want my guests waiting, you know, like whether it's them, they got stuff to do, or, you know, sometimes they might be a little bit nervous. I was looking at our guest list over the last few years, and most people, this was their first time coming on a podcast. Like, they're not professional podcast guests, you know, they're just real humans that are doing real work and stuff. So they come on and it can be nerve wracking. And so I was like, yeah, we'll just get that over with. We'll just get them on the show and then do this. So what I wanted to talk about today was landscape lighting live. So we just wrapped up. I didn't have a chance to really do much of a recap, but we finished about a week and a half ago in Tampa, and it was amazing. This is the, you know, we've put on a handful of these. This time we decided to up the attendees because we always had people that wanted in. So we actually doubled it. So we normally have 25. This time we had 50. I think there was actually 52 or 3 in the room because our Legends group, they're actually allowed to send. There's some benefits to that, and they get to send people to lives and things like that at no additional cost. But man, we found the format, you guys, and everyone thought the first one was cool, and the second one was cool, and the third one, like, we always had good feedback. But we found the format that's really going to be the future of training for landscape lighting. First, I want to recognize our mentors. They were amazing. Okay. We had Chris Applestadt, Captain Matt, Andy Schwindler, and Keith Rosser. And these guys poured into these people. Okay. They gave everything that they had. They were emotionally engaged. They were not just doing their portion. Like, okay, you're on for this 30 minutes or this hour, but at lunch, at dinner, the hallway discussions, the out in the field, the rides to the locations, like the final night party. I mean, these guys were staying up till 2 a.m. at the bar, like doing all this stuff. And they must have been emotionally and mentally exhausted after it because they really poured into them. And it wasn't just about like their 30-minute section or whatever it was they were training on. It was a lot more than that. And after those training sessions, they were able to kind of peel back the onion and get to know these mentors. And I'm extremely grateful for these guys to show up the way they did, because they delivered and they over-delivered. And then the attendees, I got to tell you, I mean, I should have advertised like who was coming in as attendees, because it was like a star-studded room of people, some that are known, like online and trainers, and then others not really known. They're not like people that people know very well from social media, but you get to know these people and they're amazing, right? And this landscape lighting industry is only going to be better because of the people that are coming in. They're motivated. They want to do things right. They're driven, and they want to be successful. And that's why they're investing in themselves to come to these trainings and to get started and to do it right. It was phenomenal. We did a tour of Garden Light. Those guys did a fantastic job. Again, showing people the ropes, getting them comfortable with product and things like that. People love that tour. And you don't have to be at Landscape Lighting to do a tour. You can just go to Garden Light and do it. But it was really cool that people could go through with their teams and stuff like that. It's just a phenomenal event. And I would say this, you know, when I started doing what I'm doing now, I did not have any vision for doing like hands-on training. I only did this out of necessity. I wanted to be the business guy. I wanted to be pricing, sales, marketing. And people would reach out to me, okay, holiday lighting people, and say, hey, I want to get into landscape lighting. Can you help me out? And I actually, even in my Landscape Lighting Secrets coaching program, I didn't have a spot for them. I didn't have modules for that. when we launched, it was only for existing lighting companies. Like I assumed you already had to know design, you already had to know install, and we were just going to help you out from a business standpoint, right? And that's how we launched. Christian was one of the first 4 founding members. He already knew lighting. I wasn't going to teach him anything about how to install or whatever. But after a while, we started getting people reaching out, these holiday lighting people wanting to get into the industry. And I would just tell them, yeah, you know what? I don't have anything for you. Call on a distributor, call on a manufacturer, I don't even know what I told them. I just said, sorry. And then I started thinking, man, there's more than one person. Like they kept reaching out. And people would come back and be like, I'm still struggling. And so I decided to build inside my program a series of modules that taught about landscape lighting. So we called it the fundamentals of landscape lighting. And I thought that was good enough. But then people were asking me, well, do you have any in-person events? Do you have any in-person trainings? And there's really nothing out there that teaches this stuff hands-on. There's some manufacturers that are starting to do it and things like that, but there was really nothing out there. And so that's why we launched Landscape Lighting Live. And it was designed primarily for the newbie, the person who didn't have much experience. They never installed lighting. They needed to start somewhere, right? And basically what I found, and even the very first one, we had Andy Schwindler reach out. He was already in my coaching program. And I called him. I said, Andy, are you sure you want to come to the very first Landscape Lighting Live? It's the exact same content that's already in the coaching program. Do you want to come? And he's like, yeah, I definitely want to come. I'm bringing my wife, my son. Like we want to be a part of it. And I was like, okay. And I felt guilty. I felt bad. I'm like, man, he's going to show up and feel like, why did I buy 3 tickets to this? You guys know, you've probably heard imposter syndrome. This was kind of a version of that. I was like, I felt like, well, he already has this information. Why would he pay for it again? Well, after the experience, I asked him, did you feel like you wasted your money? Do you need a refund? Like, what do we got to do? Because I'm not about trying to make people mad here. And he's like, no, that was awesome. It was amazing. And I was like, even if that was the same, he goes, yeah, but it wasn't the same because it was a similar content, but you have different stories. It's different in person. You're talking with other people, you're mingling and all this. And that started to change my perspective of who this training experience was for. And now fast forward to a couple of years later, we've been doing these. I'm seeing more and more people who do have experience with landscape lighting. In fact, this last live, there was 12 of the 40 companies that were there were already in our coaching program, right? And so this tells me that people don't just want virtual. They want in person. They want to mingle and associate with others. The last night we threw this awesome party at Whiskey Joe's, had like the private tent and catered all the food and drinks and everything. And I still don't know what it cost me, but I don't care. I just don't look at the numbers. It cost a lot. But afterward, you see people breaking out into tables, and then a late crew stayed and hung around the fire and stuff like that. It's just so magical to see this stuff happen. So Landscape Lighting Live isn't just for the newbies. It's for the existing folk. And you might get bored for a couple hours the first day when we're really talking the fundamentals of what is a transformer, right? But throughout the rest of the day, you're probably going to learn a new technique, even if you've been doing it 20, 30 years. We've had people come to this that have been doing it a long time, and they always pick up something, right? But it all depends on your attitude. If you're looking for it, you'll find it. If not, you're not going to find anything, right? And then day 2, I love day 2. That's when we get into the business stuff, the pricing, the sales, the marketing. That's when we help people start to change their mindset to start working for something bigger than $500 for the day, right? We show people how to make a lot of money doing something that they love. And I love it. So we got the next one coming up, landscapelightinglive.com. It's in San Diego. I already know some excuses that people are going to make. Number one excuse is I'll do it later because I don't know, that's in the future and I don't have time to think right now. I'll just do it later. Another excuse is, wow, April, May, that's my busy time. So I can't go. And it's like, what does that mean? What is your busy time? If you want to get into landscape lighting, you want to better your business, better your life, you're going to have to make a sacrifice. You're going to have to do something different than you're already doing, because what got you here will not get you there. So if that's your busy season and you've been doing that for the last 2, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, you're going to have to change. So make the sacrifice, be there. I promise you, if you're in that room, you're going to walk away with a lot more value than whatever money you were going to make over those 2-3 days, right, of being gone. So I'm going to start promoting it pretty heavily. This is your chance now to get your ticket before it sells out, because we're going to start doing a lot of social media posts and stuff like that to promote that event. Don't be on the outside of this room, guys. I'm telling you, I have all these messages of people on the last time. They're like friends of mine. We know each other. And they're like, come on, man, hook me up. You know, we're homies. I'm like, I can't do that. I hate those awkward conversations. So, okay, guys. Well, that's pretty much all I got for you. I want to thank again, Chris Waugh, for coming on here. Such a stud, done amazing things for his family, his business, his legacy. I think it's going to be cool to see what he does over the next few years. I mean, he's willing to get in lukewarm ocean water at 7 a.m. So imagine if he dares get into freezing cold water one day. I think maybe that's what we got to do. We'll do a cold plunge in one of the lakes here in Utah, because the lakes here are cold. That's the real cold plunge. It's like glacier water, glacier. But I'm excited to see what he's going to do. And, it'd be kind of cool to see as this industry progresses, and as us people are so passionate, you always want your kids to do stuff and then they never do it. But one day there's going to be kids that aspire to be landscape lighting business owners, right? And it's going to be a thing. Like maybe there's going to be like landscape lighting live will turn into a more formal thing, and it's like, don't go to college, sign up for landscape lighting live, and it's like a 12-week or a 2-year thing to help you launch your lighting business. I don't know. Maybe we're already doing that with Landscape Lighting Secrets. It's just cool. I love this industry. Super grateful for it. It's changed my family's future. It's changed our legacy, and it's inspiring to be around other people that are thinking big, because just when I think I'm starting to think big, then you get around a group that's thinking even bigger, and you're like, oh, I thought that was actually pretty big, and you guys are bigger thinkers than me. So that's pretty much it. I hope you guys have an awesome week. Let me know what you think of the new format. Should we stick to it? Should we switch it back? And I'll look forward to seeing you guys next week. Hope everyone has an awesome week. Don't forget, keep moving forward. Have a good one, guys.